Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on another episode of Doofus After Dark. This time we've got a world situational briefing episode coming your way. Our friend Chris is going to be joining us, and we'll be having a um, Q&A with the chat. If you have questions, make sure you get them into the chat and with some kind of notification, like an at me or something, so that if you do have a question you want us to talk about or discuss or try to answer, then we'll make sure and see it. And again, thank you all for being here. We'll get started here in just a couple of minutes as soon as Chris joins us. In the meantime, we will take a look at our breaking news. According to the mainstream media, there was some news today. Politico, the Trump arraignment in Washington, D.C., was backdropped by quiet outside the courthouse. Um, I'm not sure where they were at, but the things I saw, there was an awful lot of noise. New York Times, the Trump indictment leaves alleged co-conspirators facing tough choices. Do they become witnesses or do they become defendants? Department of Justice, 2 U.S. Navy service members have been arrested. This was in California for transmitting military secrets to the Chinese. CNN headline, 6 former Mississippi law enforcement officers have pleaded guilty to charges. And it was an incident on January 24th in Braxton, Mississippi, just southeast of Jackson. It came to light after 2 men, Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker, filed a federal lawsuit. Many of the claims in the lawsuit were reflected in the federal charging documents. 2 men who are black say 6 white law enforcement officers entered the home where they were and tortured them for nearly 2 hours, culminating with Jenkins being shot in the mouth. So, that's a little bit more info on that CNN headline. The BBC headline is hang on, hit the wrong. There we go. BBC headline is Bill Barr says Donald Trump, quote, knew well he lost the election, end quote. NBC News, Hunter Biden business associate testifies he has no knowledge of wrongdoing by Joe Biden. All right. The lie will keep getting perpetuated, but you got to call it a lie when it's a lie. All right. I think I heard Chris join us. Let me. All right. He is. There we go. Hang on just a second. Again, thank you all for tuning in, for clicking on. Chris, how are you, man?
Pretty good. How about yourself, Barry?
I'm hanging in there. I'm a little banged up at the moment, but it could have been worse. I didn't hit my head, so I'm thankful for that.
Glad to
But
see that you're okay. Glad to see that you're okay.
thank you. Yeah, my dog she basically she was behind me, and she kind of just took off and like it made a circle around me and then took off running, and it just pulled both of my legs out from under me at the same time, and I went down on my right side.
Man, sheesh. That's rough. But
Yeah.
here I'm glad that you're alive. You're okay.
Thank you, man. I'm glad I'm alive and okay too. So, anything about you want to say anything about the Trump arraignment or anything?
Well, with the whole Trump arraignment, that's not the big deal. The big deal is going to be the trial. Okay, and it's in D.C. court, United States District Court. And I hate to break. I mean, D.C. is extremely liberal city. Okay, it's extremely liberal,
Okay.
and it's extremely democratic. So
Okay.
I'm gonna let you know this right now. That's gonna be automatic conviction for the United States Attorney's Office.
Yay! And the crowd goes wild. I'm sorry.
That's I mean,
Uh,
I
uh,
mean
hey,
that's
hey,
that.
before go ahead and finish your train of thought.
I mean, and that's just how DC is. Okay, and then like I said, you're gonna have DC residents all within the United States District Court, and like I said, DC residents are, citizens are extremely liberal, extremely democratic, or vote for Democrats. So um, I hate to say it, no matter what the defense does, it's not going to matter. So in this
And
case,
that's
it,
when the is that when the crap hits the fan, so to speak?
I,
When he's found guilty?
yeah, because it's pretty much in DC, and like his case, you're guilty till proven guilty. Hate to say
Okay.
it, but that's the
Yeah.
way it is.
DC doesn't have a lot of representation in Congress, but
They have they have
as far as grand juries and and then criminal case juries, DC has a lot of impact.
well, yeah. So in DC, and then now I'm talking from law enforcement law enforcement perspective, they have the RIP grand juries, rapid indictment process grand juries, for a lot of criminal stuff. I did a lot of like drug cases and gun cases where you do like the rapid indictment process, and then also the regular grand jury, which Trump went through, and that's where he got indicted on that. So, um, I mean, it's just how the criminal system works in DC, right? I mean, he's going to United States District Court, but there's also a Superior Court. It's kind of like a state court, and then
Hmm.
but they're both federal, you know.
Hmm.
But this one, he's going to United States District Court, and like I said, in DC, with the DC residents, they're really they're Democrats, and like I said, they're extremely liberal. So,
Yeah.
like I said, it doesn't really matter what um, Trump's defense does. He's getting convicted regardless. It's
He's
just
guilty until proven guilty.
pretty much that's
Yeah.
how it's going to be.
Okay. And I started to interrupt you earlier because I wanted you to here in the beginning before we get rolling along, if you wouldn't mind just kind of retracing. You started out as a DC police officer. That's how you can speak with authority on DC. Where talk about that for a moment, and then where you went from there.
Okay, so um, I was an officer with Metropolitan Police Department, Washington D.C. I was a cop there for 10 years, right? From there, I went to State Department Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement, serving three or correction, two combat rotations in Afghanistan on a combined Joint Special Operations Task Force. From there, I went to DOD, what we call a law enforcement professional, starting another combat rotation with out of it's called ISU, but it's ISAF SOF, where we were there to deter, disrupt, dismantle insurgent terrorist cells. And so that I basically trained, advised, and mentored Afghan National Police specifically on how to disrupt Taliban activities, as far as bomb making was concerned. So like we didn't get blown up, coalition forces didn't get blown up, and ISAF forces as well. So it's Afghan, U.S., and coalition forces don't get blown up. But even prior to that, my 2 years with working out of state um, with Cedar Soda, we're doing training by assist missions with the police, MOI, because that's your internal security,
Right.
right? That's the most important thing when you're dealing with armed non-state actors, because they have a tendency to accumulate in villages and places like that. So like for us training um, the Afghan local police and the national police, that's more important than training the military, because you're really going up against an armed gang. So and that's why they have SMEs like myself go in, because it's really the same thing back here in the States when you're dealing with these these narcotics gangs that are embedded within the communities. And we're basically teaching them, hey, you know what, we have to turn the community against the bad guys to rid them of that criminal element. So that's kind of like the same thing
Right.
did over there. There's really no difference. And then, I worked, I taught human behavior pattern recognition analysis after my 3 combat rotations in Afghanistan. Taught what we call human behavior pattern recognition analysis. I was working for the agency and directly, training coalition U.S. forces back in Afghanistan again, for like the 4th time I was over there, but that's a non-combat rotation. And then, then I went to Academy Training Center, formerly known as Blackwater, as a tactician and training specialist. While I was in Nigeria, training law enforcement tactical teams on close quarter battle, raid planning, things of that nature, to help them also rid of, like Boko Haram and groups like that. So, I pretty much traveled all over the world, all over the globe, doing the same thing. So, and that's just a brief synopsis of who I am and what I've done so far.
All right. And thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. No, not a problem. Thank you.
All right. So let's see. Let's start out with if I can get it up here. I got a map up. Can you see the map?
Yeah, I got it. So you want to take a look at Niger, correct?
Not yet. I'm going to start up in the Eastern European theater because I got some news. Not breaking, but I got some news that I don't think it's out there yet. There's a big buildup of Wagner and Belarusian troops in this area. Is it pronounced Suwalki?
You know what? I couldn't begin to tell you. That's not even my AO, my area of operations. I'm not an EUCOM guy. I'm an AFRICOM guy and Southcom.
So that's where we're heading next.
Yeah.
Okay, and not only are they here in this point, and just so everybody knows, here's Poland, here's Lithuania. This territory right here is Russian. This is where Kaliningrad is, and the only connection is through a rail line back to Belarus. And in order to secure that and secure it long term, the theory is the Wagner and Belarusians are going to be launching an effort to expand this little gap and actually link the Kaliningrad Oblast with Belarus. Also, reports of Belarusian and Wagner troops, again, kind of a hybrid thing, up here near the Latvian and Lithuanian border. And also Russian troops supposedly massing along the Finnish border. So I bring all that up to point this out. The Russian Navy has started Ocean Shield Baltic Sea, and the exercises basically it's 30 warships and boats, 20 support vessels, 6,000 military personnel, as well as I think it was 30 planes, and so they're doing a drill right now in the Baltic Sea. They're amassing troops along the borders of the Baltic nations. The last time, right before they invaded Ukraine, they were saying it's just a military drill. It's just a military drill. So I know this in your area of expertise, Chris, but you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, we take a look. We take a look at the patterns, okay, and from the patterns, we're able to make what we call predictive analysis of what's actually going to happen next. And if this is one of the patterns, then I think it'd be safe to be safe to say, based upon what they've done before in the past, that it's going to happen again. So,
Right.
that's just the way we take a look at things.
And 14 hours ago, after crossing the border, NATO country forms a special unit against the Wagner Group specifically. And the Wagner Group, we're just touching on them right now, but we're going to be talking about them as we move here to Africa.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay, let's here. Let me go back to the map and zoom out, and we will slide down to. Okay, we're dealing basically with, at the moment, uh, Niger,
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria,
Right. Nigeria. And
Niger. Yeah, it's Niger, where this is pronounced Nigeria,
right. Right. So
and Mali and Burkina Faso.
right, and even possibly Guinea Conakry as well.
I'm sorry,
Even possibly Guinea Conakry as well.
Guinea.
Right, Conakry. There's Guinea Bissau,
Okay,
and then there's also Guinea Conakry.
and Equatorial Guinea.
No, that Equatorial Guinea is going to be south.
Okay, all right. You're talking going west
Right. So we want to go.
over here,
Yeah,
Guinea Bissau.
right, and then there's Guinea Conakry.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So they just kind of lay it out for everybody. Um, Niger, they have had a coup.
Right. They had a coup
And
last week.
okay, and
And
kind of take it from there.
okay, so what it is now, it's ECOWAS, right? We'll get into ECOWAS real quick.
Okay, hold on just a second. Let me um UAS, ECOWAS. It's
Right.
the
Economic
Economic
Community
Community of Western African States. Is that correct?
That's 100% correct.
Okay, all right. And here's kind of a, a cut up or more close up version of ECOWAS and Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and again here's Guinea and so on over into the west. Okay, go ahead, Chris. Explain ECOWAS.
Okay, so ECOWAS is that's going to be the economic community of West African states. Okay, so all the states that are comprised of who should we say of ECOWAS, and I'm trying to remember. It's going to be like let me see. It's going to be like Benin, Burkina Faso.
I think I've got it here. I think I saved that. I've got a whole bunch of stuff, that's been going. A lot of stuff's been going on today.
Right.
I found this incredibly telling. We'll get to this in just a minute. The
Yes.
country of France, 0 gold mines, but yet has 2,436 tons of gold in reserves. Mali has 860 gold mines, 0 ton in reserve. That one thing to me kind of told the whole story.
Well, it doesn't paint the full picture, because let me paint the picture for you. So the whole thing was, there was a rift and a tension, right, between the president and the presidential guards, the what we call the presidential guards. That's kind of like the military, right?
Okay.
And what it is, because there was a rift, the head of the presidential guard kind of was like, okay, well, you don't want to do it this way, and we're not getting along, so we're just going to hold you hostage. Okay, and this is where the coup took place. All right.
This is what happened in Niger.
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
So even though Niger has the gold and the uranium, right?
Right.
That really didn't have a whole lot to do with the rift between these two. Okay. That's something completely different. And I'm getting this directly from
An
some
unintended consequence. France is going to get their butts handed to them,
right. So
or
this new
or France is going to come in and recolonize.
or attempt to recolonize, because you have to keep in mind, if France attempts to come in, then uh, those other countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and possibly Guinea Conakry, along with Russia, are going to,
Yeah,
you know, hold the ground and um, assist Niger with anything that they need. Okay, and they'll fight against ECOWAS. Okay, and then but then
yeah.
also you have to remember Algeria, so they're possibly going to assist with the fighting and be on the side of Niger. Right. So
Ooh,
yeah, right. So the bottom line is you have ECOWAS, but it's going to be led by Nigeria. Okay, and Nigeria
okay.
right now has got a whole bunch of issues going on inside Nigeria. A whole bunch of
This is where, for those of you that clicked on, thank you for clicking on. Um, this is where it's going to get real interesting. Talk about the leadership of Nigeria.
okay. So what it is currently, the president of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, is he's up against the tribunal for um, the other presidential candidates, Peter Obi and this guy, the other guy, Tiku, uh, challenged his, you know, the winning of the presidential election. And what's coming out as is this President Tinubu did not receive 25% of the votes he needed in the federal, it's the FCT, Federal Capital Territory of Abuja. You need 25% to actually win. He did not have that. Furthermore, he was on a drug forfeiture here in the United States. He was a former drug baron, okay, and alleged former drug baron. And our government ended up doing a forfeiture of $460,000 from him for those alleged drug proceedings. So he was a drug trafficker. But then, furthermore, he allegedly forged his university certificates, which he never allegedly never graduated from. I think somewhere in Chicago, and like they have all that. So all this stuff's in court right now, and they're trying to disqualify him. Okay,
Hmm.
and the people in Nigeria don't want this guy in office at all. They really want the other uh,
Peter
Peter Obi.
uh,
That's who they
Peter
want.
Obi,
Right. That's who they want. Okay.
and that's who won the election, but the other guy wouldn't step down. Basically, is
Well,
what it amounts to.
well, it's called INEC. They're the ones that actually count the votes and do it. Right. They're the ones that actually count the votes and project the winner and say who the winner is. Right. But what they did
Right.
is they forged a lot of they screwed up a lot of stuff. Okay. They said that there were glitches in the machines, and Peter Obi during the tribunal came out and proved all this stuff didn't occur. Okay, so what he's really showing is, hey, look, I actually won this thing. Okay, but you gave it to him. Why? So what's most likely going to happen? There's three ways it's going to go.
Peter Bobby's going to get killed.
what, one of three things is going to occur. All right. First thing is if they don't if they keep going with Bola Tinubu as the president, there's going to be civil war, automatic. The obedience, you have IPOB in the south. That's just another form of Boko Haram in the north. Okay, and now I was totally unaware of this other group called the Biafran Liberation Army. I was like, wait a second, where'd these guys come from? Okay, so
By African
it's called the
by African Liberation Army?
Biafra. So
Biafra.
right,
Okay.
Biafra Liberation Army, and what they are.
I never heard of them.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like brand new to me. It was brand new to me. I just heard about it like maybe 3 days ago. I was like, whoa, where'd these people come from? You know? So
Yeah.
you have you're gonna have the South, okay, um, against like in the obedience against the North because I'm not like Tinubu's got his goons, okay, and a lot of them, as you know, a lot of those armed non-state actor groups are actually controlled by who? Politicians,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of those armed non-state actor groups could actually be called out to fight against his opposition in the places where he won, during the
Right.
polling, right? So you have to be concerned
And
about
if the
that.
military is in Niger, which as you said, it would basically the ECOWAS is basically Niger,
It's basically Nigeria. So if they get
Nigeria.
right, so if they get
If
pushed,
they're all fighting in Niger,
that
then
that leaves
it's going to make it a lot easier for this guy's goon squads to rise up and do their bidding.
exactly, right?
Sounds an awful lot to me like what could happen over here.
Possibly, right?
All right, now, where's the United States stand on all
All right.
this?
So the United States is going to back this guy Bola Tinubu, and I think the reason is don't forget we have bases over there in Niger. Okay, and the capital I think is I forget how to pronounce the capital's name, but we have bases over there. We have drone bases. So
In Niger.
in Niger, right? We have drone,
Oh man.
right? So
Okay.
and I think two different locations. So we have interest in that country. Okay, so thus them having that coup kind of puts us in a position, even though I really don't think they're going to attack our bases, but we have those drones there. You see what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
we want to protect our interests, but I mean, all they really have to do is fly the drone somewhere else. It's not that difficult. Um, but you,
Right.
they the whole thing about it is
But we have interest there.
right. It's our interest, right? So we're going to push Tinubu and ECOWAS to go in to fight uh, against Niger, but it's not just going to be. It's really Nigeria, okay? But Nigeria
Mm-hmm.
going to fight against Russia, probably the Wagner Group, Algeria, now the people from Niger, um, Mali, and Burkina Faso, and possibly Guinea Conakry. Okay, so you have to remember all
Okay.
those countries.
That just like that like that's like a swath across southwestern Africa,
Yeah,
almost
right,
across the whole continent.
across the Sahel, okay, and it's all those. It's pretty much all of those um, ECOWAS member states. Okay, so you have to remember all those juntas that overthrew, the governments. Who's backing them now? Russia, the Wagner Group, right?
Right. I was looking for an article and I can't find it. That basically they were talking about um, the United States had said, that they were going to cut off their aid to Niger,
Right.
and the guy that took over Niger said, "Keep your aid. You've got enough homeless over in the U.S."
Right.
So, if he's taking that attitude with aid, um, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't confiscate bases. Um,
Well,
what are we going to do? What would we do about it if they did?
what I don't think there's too much they can do.
That's
But
what I'm saying.
right. So the whole thing about it is, they're pretty much saying, all right, United States get lost, right? That's kind of like that
Yeah.
attitude, right? because guess what?
Right.
They can get aid from where? China, Russia, Iran,
China, Russia. Yeah.
and Iran. Correct.
Yeah.
Remember, I remember.
Absolutely.
I think we had this talk before about
We have.
how the United States is no longer the big dog on the block. They're now
Yeah.
competitors. Okay, so you can cut their aid and all this other stuff. Well, we'll get it from somewhere else. And you see, I didn't. What I didn't tell you is that China actually just built is getting ready to build a port off of it's I believe what's the name of the country? Mauritania, and that's also on the west coast of Africa. So they're getting ready to build a port right there on the west coast of Africa, and there's nothing the United States can do to stop it, or any Western country can do anything to stop it. Okay, so what you're really
Yeah.
seeing is this anti-Western sentiment, all right, all throughout
Mhm.
the continent of Africa, and what they're really doing is promoting China and Russia. And I've told you this, I don't know how many times before, that if you can't stop them, China and Russia, then look, Africa is the last frontier. Okay, we
Yeah.
talked about the natural resources, but I think I also told you by the year 2050, I think China is going to be like totally overly populated. Okay, and if it's overly populated, they're gonna have to have another place to go to, and guess where that place is going to be?
Africa.
Exactly, right.
In their plans.
What?
Um, I just showed a little bit of footage there of the U.S. has evacuated their embassy
Right,
um, in this year,
right.
earlier today. Um, the one consistent thing, whether because we got to touch on what's happening in the South Pacific with North Korea, South Korea, China, Japan, and us, and Taiwan. But it seems like whether we're talking about Eastern Europe, we're talking about Africa, we're talking about the Caribbean, Russia and China both making a presence felt in Cuba.
Hmm.
Um, it seems like it's always an economic battle between us, Russia, and China everywhere in the world.
And see, and that's the whole thing. Okay, I told you, Russia and China are playing chess. I told you this, and we discussed
Hmm.
it before. Where the United States plays checkers. Okay, and yeah, we
We
talk.
depend on our might.
Right, right, and our arrogance. Well, our might and our arrogance isn't going to push. It can't get you, but so much. Okay, as you can see,
Yeah,
all we got is talk. We don't have a whole lot of
yeah.
action. Right.
What what is what is your is there a possibility the black community of Africa actually unites and rises up and takes Africa back for Africans?
That see, and I'm glad you brought that up because the current president of Burkina Faso um, is kind of like taking that role, but then also um, the president of
Mali.
no of Kenya too. All right, is is
Yeah.
is kind of taking that role, but then also a guy in South Africa. I think he's running for president against Ramaphosa. He's a younger guy, but he's kind of like that too. Then he said if he gets in to be president, he's gonna get rid of those American bases, in South Africa. I was like, oh really? Okay. So
Influence is
yes, yes, and that's the sentiment right now. All right. But they want to bring Russia in and China in, and I'm just like, why? Like, do you really think they have your best interest at heart? And because like I told you, what their plan is for by the year 2050, it's going to be
mhm,
China's going to be overpopulated. Okay, if it's overpopulated, they have to have a place to go, and they're going to start forcing
right,
Africans out of Africa. Okay, that's
right.
why
Yeah.
that's why they're doing all the soft stuff now, right? building the infrastructure, giving them, loans so they can do whatever, you see. But
Mm-hmm.
eventually they're going to come in with the hard power, which is going to be the military, and start taking stuff over. You see, they're not. This is old, but you see, a lot of Africans don't understand that. Okay, so
Yeah.
I get it, right? Maybe the
Mm-hmm.
Africans don't get it, but they think, oh, we're getting a good deal here. When in all actuality, it's just a slow grind for them to get into that country until it's actually time. You see what I'm saying? They're building.
Yeah.
It's a build up. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But then also with Russia and their influence. Now, right now, we talked about. Um, I think it was the last time on the show, or maybe 2 shows ago, we talked about the the whole nuclear threat, right, with Ukraine.
Right.
Now,
Right.
what happens? Now, what happens if they do launch nukes, right? And uh, a lot of people won't be able to survive there in Russia, right? There's going to be a lot of radiation sickness or whatever. Where do you think those people, if there's a clean place to go to, where do you think they're going to be going or attempt to go?
Right.
It's going to be Africa,
Th- yeah. The Germans are going to go to Argentina, and the Russians are going to go to Africa, and the Chinese are going to go to Africa
right? You see, Africa's the last frontier,
once they have their footholds.
right? So you see, exactly, exactly. So they're actually kind of pushing the Africans out, and the Africans aren't even realizing what the heck is going on. They think,
I've
oh,
got
we're getting rid of Western influence, and we're going to bring these guys in. But meanwhile, these guys got a plan that you're totally unaware of.
yeah, right, right. This I've got this little TikTok video here. Niger is the fourth highest producer of uranium in the world. Niger supplies 40% of France's electricity, while 89% of Niger live in total darkness. Even after independence, France still controls Niger.
Yeah,
Um, and it's simply titled, "You want to know why there was a coup?
yeah. Well,
You want to know why there was a coup in
that,
Niger?" There's your
that's
answer.
that's a small part. That's a small part
Right.
of what's going on. But here's the thing, right? Niger gets a lot of their power, electricity from Nigeria, and
Ah.
Tinubu and
Okay.
Tinubu cut the power. Tinubu cut the electricity. You see, he cut the power.
Okay. All
So
right.
um, that's, I mean, there's a whole bunch. There are a whole bunch of factors that are involved, you know, with this. And like I said, I was getting my information from someone that's been over there, so they fully understand, what's going on. You see, and
It,
go ahead.
where have we come down in Niger again?
So,
All right, we're wanting the guy that was kicked out back in. Is that where we're at?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the guy they're holding
And
hostage.
then we're wanting the guy that shouldn't be in there to stay in there in Nigeria.
Well, the guy in Niger, the president of Niger right now, is being held hostage. Okay, so we're pushing, for
Okay, I see. All right,
right. So we're pushing, hey, let that guy go and
let that guy
hold him there.
go and put him back. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the guy in Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, um, he is like he's really fighting for his position right now, and if he doesn't get it, oh yeah, I want to go back to that. So if he doesn't, um, let's say that Peter Obi,
The council, the tribunal.
right, and the tribunal goes against or goes with Tinubu. Like I said, you're gonna have those people from the south rising up, but then if they go against, but if they say, okay, Obi is going to be is the winner of this, then it's going to be the opposite. You're going to have the people from the north, rising up
Rise up.
exactly
Okay.
against the south.
Yeah, because you said there were three outcomes,
Right, and
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 the
the, and the last
first
one,
is civil war.
the second one's
Okay,
still
go
going to
ahead.
be civil war. The second one's still going to be civil
Right,
war, but then the
right.
but then the last one it is because if the judges and the tribunal are smart, they'll keep the peace. All right. And then what they'll
Mhm.
just do is have another reelection, another runoff, you know, and
Mhm.
that the person that wins that is going to be the winner of Nigeria. So I think the smartest move, would be to keep the peace, right? And just
Mhm.
have an election runoff. But if that doesn't
Okay.
occur and they put Obi back in, there's still going to be violence. I'm telling you right now,
Right.
it's bound to happen. So, let's just hope for, you know, um, I mean, but the law is the law, and their precedents in Nigeria about like forgery and like forfeitures and the 25% rule in the federal capital territory. Uh,
Mhm.
if the person, uh, the people have to have 25%, have to win 25% of
Right.
the votes in the federal.
In the capital
Right,
district.
right. And if they don't get it, then they can't be elected. They can't be president. Okay. And I think that's
Mhm.
that's where they're going with Tinubu because he didn't get that. So
Okay.
that would be a disqualification.
All
But
right. I'm gonna show two more things here, and then we'll see if there are some questions from people in chat.
okay.
All right.
All right.
Um, hold on a second. Let's go to this. This is from August 1st. Putin facing a second rebellion of dissatisfied Russians marching on Moscow with grim predictions it's not far off. Um, and the quote I wanted to the current situation for the Kremlin is such that unrealized desire for a second offensive on Kiev will be overshadowed by the urgent need to prepare to meet a second march on Moscow. So I don't know if this comes from the Ukrainian ministry. So I don't know if it's if it's propaganda or if there is that much. This kind of ties into the potential civil war kind of thing. Um, I would be shocked if there was an uprising in Russia.
You know what? That's a very strong possibility. Yeah, Putin has allegedly survived approximately 43 assassination attempts. I mean, you really want
Yeah.
to know about it, but I think eventually um, it's all going to come to a head, no matter what. And that's just my
Does
personal
that?
opinion.
Yeah. I think a lot of people believe that. Do you think that puts more pressure on him to go out with a bang, so to speak?
But you really caused me to speculate. But I told you.
That's all right.
I think we spoke about this before. That the guy's sick too. All right.
Yeah,
So
he's got. Yeah.
so I think yeah, he probably doesn't want to go out with a bang. If he is that sick.
Yeah.
I mean, well, like, what do you like? Tell me, what do you really have to lose? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Especially if he's a narcissist and doesn't care about his kids or grandkids or anybody else.
pretty much, right?
All right. Yeah. Okay. This is the last one. This is. Hang on a second. This is something that. What happened here? There we go. The title is China has made its first strike on the West, and it came in 13 hours ago. Um, it's becoming increasingly clear that China computer hackers may have penetrated American military and civil critical infrastructure in ways that could cripple a U.S. response to Chinese armed aggression from the outset. Um, and this is the part that really bothered me. Certainly, that would align with Beijing's strategy, familiar with Sun Tzu's art of war, which is to win the war before a shot is fired.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. So are you aware that they found biolabs here in the United States
Yeah.
that were
Yeah.
Chinese.
Chinese biolabs. Yeah.
Right? So that's something to
Chinese
really,
police departments, Chinese biolabs,
yeah. And it's just like, how do
are
you,
there really Chinese soldiers buried in underground tunnels? Jeez.
but you remember that,
Yeah.
you remember the balloons that were flying
Yes.
above,
Yes. Of course. Of course. The Chinese spy balloons that
right.
nothing to worry about. We'll just let them fly over all of our military bases and over the heartland of America and hope they don't dump anything on us, or did they dump something on us?
I don't know if they done them. They took some photographs. I know that much. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And they did it for a reason.
exactly. Right.
They didn't just do it for shits and grins. Um, Not going away wants to know, hey Chris, is anything going on in Suriname right now?
So I really couldn't begin to tell you. That I've really been following this whole thing with Nigeria, and that whole ECOWAS thing, but also I've been following what's going on in Haiti as well, because they're starting to talk about other international security forces coming in to help with destabilize Haiti, and I'm just like, why? It's
Yeah.
the same thing over and over again. It's just I get tired, of talking about that stuff. But as far as Suriname is concerned, I couldn't begin to tell you. I'm not really not following. I'm not tracking that.
Anybody else have any questions for us? Well, or primarily for Chris. Um, I've got something, Chris. Lori Arnold's asking, so China will colonize Africa further?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, all day. That's easy. That's you can think
It's
you can.
happening, and we're just not, here in America. We don't talk about any of this stuff. We
Mm-mm,
have no idea what's going on in the
mm-mm.
rest of the world. We're focused on canceling the Barbie movie and Bud Light.
Right, right. So yeah, they are slowly but surely colonizing the continent of Africa. And in some countries, I forgot what country I was. I have to bring it up that they're actually, like, in some of the tunnels and some of the places, they're actually starting to speak Chinese in these places, and they're starting to
Whoa.
force. Yeah, exactly, right. And they're starting to force some of these African citizens to learn Chinese because the Chinese have such a strong influence in this country. I forgot, I forgot what country it is, but that's what's going on. And I heard that, I'm like, oh man, no bueno, that's all bad.
Uh, Lori wasn't here, Chris. She wants. What does Chris think will happen if Trump is convicted?
Once again, you're constantly speculate, but if he does get convicted on these charges, he's going away. Let you know that right now. All right. So like
Yeah.
kind of like they're hitting them on sedition and treason charges, stuff like that. You going to prison. Okay, it's not like the document stuff. That's big deal, you know. But that stuff right
Yeah.
there, you're gonna go to prison. There's nothing you can. I mean,
The attorney general in Georgia said that if he's indicted in Georgia, that he will be fingerprinted, handcuffed, put in an orange jumpsuit, and mugshot, just like anyone else.
yeah. Well, see that's just.
And
See, my whole thing is, my whole
I
thing is,
guess just
don't take it too far. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay,
yeah,
don't. I mean,
yeah,
what
just like we like what's going on in Africa. Try to keep the peace
right? You know what I'm saying? Don't
because because it
don't
can explode at any
right,
time.
right. Don't make the situation worse. You know.
I want him locked up though, but that that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing. It's
Right.
just
Just
me emotionally.
yeah. That's an emotional response because you don't like someone. That's what that is. All right. Look, keep it strictly factual,
Yeah, yeah, right.
objective, and analytical.
Which we normally do here.
Right.
When you and me are on, it's normally, we're doing analysis
Right. Exactly.
of situations.
But
And every situation we've talked about could potentially have a domino effect. And we're, I'm really concerned about what Russia's doing and what Belarus and the Wagner group are doing up in Poland. They've already flown across the Polish border once with helicopters. They've been launching drones that fly across Romania to hit Ukraine ports in the south. Um, I'm just really concerned about that area at the moment, and I hope it cools down.
think about it. They said that sometime was that last year that they were going to take Poland anyway. Remember?
Yeah, they're going the
So,
Poland and the Baltics.
right. They already said that they're going to do that. So, and
Yeah,
like I said, Putin is pretty much a man of his word. You see, so it doesn't just because it didn't happen right away doesn't mean it's not going to happen. He's not going to do it. Um, so it's one of those things where it has to be the timing has to be right and everything has to be right for these things to happen. And maybe this is the right time for him to take over Poland or certain parts of Poland. You know, so
yeah,
yeah, that's just the way I look at it.
or at least try.
Yeah, and I see. I don't know how strong NATO really is. you know, because
Yeah, how strong the alliance that's where I was heading next. This becomes this becomes Article 5
exactly,
if
exactly,
if Russia's if um, because we've already stated that we consider Wagner Russian troops.
right,
So if they do cross and into Poland, that's Article 5.
right.
How strong are how we'll find out.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, and maybe that's their litmus test. Maybe that's just their test, just find out.
yeah, they're just poking it just to yeah, just
Oh,
doing a little exploratory thing to see if we actually will do anything.
exactly. So, um,
And France getting its ass kicked now in Africa. Um, they may not want to. They may not want to risk anything for Ukraine.
yeah, exactly. I think France has too many problems. I really do. Um,
They got a major Islamic problem that I don't. The Islamic nation has announced it. I don't know if France has accepted it or not.
but it's just they have internal problems, they have external problems. It's just it just doesn't seem like they can handle what they have going on right now. It's just like they want, and just like this whole Niger thing, Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea Conakry. You know, they just don't, like I said, the whole anti-West sentiment right now. Okay,
Hmm.
and
And that just plays into the hands of Russia and China.
hey, there you go. Right.
Yeah. All right. What about the guy in North Korea?
Oh, okay. So, are you talking about the dictator or the kid that ran?
Yeah.
Okay, the
Oh,
dictator.
both. I kind of forget. With everything going on, I kind of forgot about the kid running across. But yeah, let's talk about the kid running across first, and then the dictator.
So, I don't know too much about too much information about the kid run across, but like I can tell you right now that was not the best move. I think he was gonna be chaptered out of the military
Yeah,
for some stuff that he did.
and possibly have to do 6 months.
Yeah, and
Yeah, six
so
months in the brig, and then shipped it out.
yeah, but then you want to go to North Korea and sit there, and he doesn't know anything anyway, so he's just there, and The United States government's trying to get them out, and it's just like, dude, just look, it's 6 months. Do your 6 months and be done with it. Now it's even. Now you
Yeah,
just made the situation worse.
yeah,
Yep.
because because I think there are 200 Americans living in North Korea. And if something happens between us and North Korea, they're going to be some of the first people killed
Right, right,
because they're automatically going to be assumed they're spies of
yeah,
some sort.
yeah. So it just, I really don't know what these people are thinking about. I just don't. You did wrong. All right, just accept your punishment and move on. You know. But
Um,
as far as North Korea, I don't know if you heard that. Like I think they're talking about conducting strikes here in the United States sometime,
mhm,
and I'm just like,
yeah,
all right, man. And I think they're probably like hitting Hawaii and uh, I think they said Japan. I mean, it's not that's not U.S., but I think they're talking about
yeah.
Japan, the United States, Guam, some other places, and I'm just like, or even like San Francisco too, and I'm like, wow, uh, like we just need to put a stop to this guy. Period. Just
Yeah,
put North Korea, just get rid of this guy and just stop all this shenanigans. What you're talking about because it's ridiculous.
make make it Korea.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just make it Korea again, and cut off the Chinese influence from the north, and you got a thriving nation
Yeah,
in a decade because
exactly,
those people would work to make it happen.
exactly.
Uh, Nathan Brown asks, now that we know that Russia is a paper tiger as far as the army, have they let their nukes rot away like they did with some of their subs?
Um, Once again, I'm not the expert on Russia, but I can tell you this much: they're not as much of a paper tiger as you really think they are. Okay, I think they give that appearance of them being a paper tiger, but in all actuality, I think Russia's actually pretty strong. I think the military is pretty strong. I think they just want to give the illusion that they're weak because actually, I think they're really kicking Ukrainian butt. It just depends on what news source is promoting, you know, what's really going on. Okay, and I think Barry.
Could
Well, I think we talked about this some time ago. All right, and the whole thing about this is them draining us, you know,
hmm
economically.
right,
Okay.
right. Get us involved in several different fronts
Right.
so that we automatically weaken ourselves.
Right. Right. But then also I said, if they really wanted to, and we talked about this, how they like leveled Aleppo, remember in Syria,
Mhm.
like, and
Yeah,
you don't think they can do the same thing over there? Well, they can.
yeah,
So
they have with the city down on the southern city. Um, I forget the name of it, but yeah, they basically carpet bombed the place,
right,
or at least sections of the place,
right. So
and
so I'm just I'm just sitting up there saying I'm like if they really wanted to, they could like really do a whole lot of damage to
okay, so them not doing that, them doing the damage they've been doing, and let's just let's just assume they are presenting themselves as a paper tiger, and knowing the art of war, that would be to sucker us into getting involved there again, part of draining us.
right, right,
So
right, right.
it could be part
Right.
of the plan.
They're kind of just like dragging it out. The longer it goes, the more money we put into it, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So,
Millions
so
and billions and billions.
right. So, like, is it smart just to go in and if your plan is to drain us, I'm not going to go in and just take a place over because like then all that funding and whatever would stop. I want to keep the money coming to drain you, so I want to keep this thing going on as long as possible. You see what I'm
That
saying?
makes sense, actually. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. All right. Let's see. Everyone remember Russia's just 55 miles from the United States and Alaska. That's
True.
a great point, too. Yeah. 200 Americans living in North Korea, according to the State Department, Zella. Um, um, he is actually Chris is a his expertise is in the African continent and in the Middle East. So yeah, and we normally talk that. I normally talk more about what's happening in Eastern Europe than he does because I keep a little bit closer eyes on those things because you can't watch everything, man.
Nah, nah. It's just
I mean, there's just too much.
yeah.
Um, I think Putin is in a pinch. I don't believe he would lose hundreds of thousands of troops on purpose. Okay, that's that's a fair point.
I mean,
And that all we're doing is speculating.
right,
We're
right. I
just
mean,
speculating based upon previous actions.
right, right. And that's really what you're gonna go off of is what's happened before in the past that you can make a predictive analysis of what's gonna happen again in the future, and
Yeah,
that's how you you measure what happened. There's lessons learned. Okay, it's like
yeah.
it's almost like a case study of things that have happened before in the past. If this happened before in the past here, here, and here, then it's most likely going to take effect here as well. You know,
Okay. Um, let's hypothetically for just a moment. Let's assume that my concerns in that region are correct, and that Belarus and Wagner invade a portion of Poland to secure that corridor, this Somalway corridor, and they also try to take back at least some of um, the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. Um, do we push back,
well,
or do? Or, I mean, we appear really weak if we don't do something, don't we?
yeah, but here's
At
the
the
thing,
same time, are we going to risk nuclear war over those states? And
those
I'm just speaking strategy. I'm not speaking, it's not like I'm devaluing the Lithuanians or Estonians or Latvians.
right.
I'm
Well,
just saying,
here's the thing. Those are small countries, small militaries. You know, um, and our military is stretched thin. You know that, right?
yeah. And we're having trouble getting new people in.
Exactly. So
They're talking about a draft,
yeah, exactly.
which, is so counterproductive. I thought we learned the lesson on that. The military should be something that people want to be a part of, not something that you're forced to be a part of because you
Well,
force people to do it and you're going to get shit soldiers.
yeah. Well, you just said something, about lessons learned, right? Well, we don't really follow
Yeah,
lessons
we
learned
don't
very
do
well. So there goes your answer.
we? Yeah. All right, man. Hey, thank you for coming on, Chris.
Hey, thank you for having me, Barry. It's greatly appreciated, man. I
We'll
love
do,
being
we'll
on your
do
show.
again. We'll do it again in a couple of weeks. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, man. Thank you.
Okay, you take care now.
You too.
Bye now.
And of course, he and I stay in touch, off air on a semi pretty regular basis now that everything's going on. I want to thank all of you for clicking on here, staying on here, participating in the chat, asking some questions, and communicating with each other, communicating with us. Um, I will probably not be on tomorrow night. I may not be on Saturday or Sunday. We will be on Monday, and we're going to be talking. We're going to start at 11 o'clock on Monday, Eastern Daylight Time. That's 10 Central, 9 Mountain, and 8 Pacific. And we're going to be talking about addictions. Lori's going to be with us. I'm hoping GA and Cunning will be with us, but we'll see. And if you'd like to join us on the panel, if you got something you want to share, by all means, email me, americandufus@gmail.com. If you got comments about tonight's show, make sure and leave them below if you didn't catch the live version. And thank you for watching. And or you can email me, americandufus@gmail.com, all one word. And Dufus is Dufus. So again, greatly appreciate you all being here. Namaste. Shalom. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Blessings be upon you. Peace. Live long and prosper. Positive vibrations to each and every one of you. I love you like chocolate chip cookies. And I mean that. See you next time. It's a dark world. Try to be alive.